All right, we've got Brad Senkiw, who's news editor, covers.com, who joins us now on the Adam Gold Show. 1 year anniversary of sports wagering in North Carolina, and you live in the state, correct?
I'm actually right across the border. I live in South Carolina, but I'm very, very close to North Carolina.
All right, we won't hold that against you, Brad. I appreciate your time. So how has it gone, do you think? We have, I'm sure there are a lot of people within the state that either love it or hate it. How do you think it has gone in North Carolina over the first 365 days?
Yeah, Adam, I would classify it as a rousing success. I think North Carolina, the way they went about integrating sports betting into the state, the way they went about regulating it, creating the necessary resources to get it in place, the way they worked with the operators like FanDuel and DraftKings and BetMGM and all of those 8 who came into the state, the way it all went, I think North Carolina did it and launched it and then had success after about as well as you could ask for. I mean, I think there haven't been a whole lot of issues. I've covered the state on a regular basis with, what's going on since, legislation was being passed, a year and a half ago or whatever now. So it really has been done the right way. And I think North Carolina maybe leaves kind of a blueprint for some other states when they do get it. I know Missouri just legalized it in this past November during election season, and they're probably going to look to North Carolina, like North Carolina looked to some other states to say, hey, how did you do it? What was the right way to handle this, and this? I think North Carolina is a model for the way that states handle and introduce sports betting, and then the response, the amount of people that have wagered, the amount of dollars that have wagered. You're talking about $6.6 billion has been bet in the state of North Carolina since last March 11th. It's pretty crazy.
In terms of the models in other places, because obviously North Carolina was at least a year, I think in some cases 2 or 3 years behind other states, has that number generally increased or stayed pretty constant?
Oh, it's definitely increased. And you look at North Carolina, $6.6 billion. That's on par over the last 12 months with, say, like a Michigan or a Maryland. Not quite to the degree of, say, a Massachusetts, which is a state I think is comparable, because I think Massachusetts has the pro passion the way that North Carolina has the collegiate passion for sports.
Right.
But you look at Massachusetts, they introduced sports betting in 2023 at the same time period that North Carolina did it a year later. Right? They did it in March of 2023. They went from right at $5 billion generated in handle to $7.4 billion the next year. That's a pretty big leap when you go from 5 to 7.4. So I think, and that's been kind of constant across the U.S. with these legal jurisdictions, that you've seen those kind of jumps. So I anticipate North Carolina for that to continue. And, these sports books, they're going to continue to invest in the state. The promotional spending that they give out, the bonus bets as they call them, those fluctuate as you go throughout a year. But I don't see any reason that you're going to see DraftKings or FanDuel or whoever shy away from doing that and trying to build their business consistently within that state.
Brad Senkiw, news editor, covers.com, is joining us on the Adam Gold Show. Obviously it has been good, and the tax revenue to the state has been good. I don't know how that ranks in terms of other states. What is North Carolina's got about like a little less than $130 million in tax revenue in year one. How does that compare? I don't even know if you know that, but how does that compare across the many states that have it?
Yeah, $128 million. I think it's a little higher projection than what they were first expecting. I think they were hoping for like $100 million, maybe between 80 and 100 million. I remember when Kentucky was setting theirs up and they were saying, hey, let's hope we get to 30 or 40 million. Then all of a sudden they had 70 million in tax revenue. Like it's funny. Like each state seems to put these kind of low projections on it and they surpass it quickly. I think North Carolina's in the same boat in that, but their tax rate is not as high as some other states. Now they're obviously not generating the handle that you have in a New York or a Pennsylvania, the amount of money that's wagered. But still, I think it's a fair tax rate, and that's actually become a very controversial topic in the sports betting industry right now. Is some states like Illinois and some of these others are looking at really raising theirs even high. Now, Illinois already did raise theirs, but there's Massachusetts and some other states are saying, hey, Ohio saying, hey, let's bump it up another 5 or 10%, maybe even 20% more. And North Carolina's kind of staying right there at that 18% rate, which I think is probably a good idea for the state for the time being.
And that is a tax rate that is paid by the proprietor, not by the customer, correct?
Correct. That is correct. That is what after they subtract some things like promotional bets given out, they subtract. Well, some states make you include that, but they take out deductions and the federal taxes they have to pay and all that kind of thing. Whatever's left over of their revenue, their adjusted revenue, the 18% comes from that, goes to the state.
All right, Brad Senkiw, who's with Covers.com, he is the news editor. So there has been some controversy, and I just want to, I know people have pushed back. Well, we shouldn't have like player prop bets. Like you shouldn't be able to bet on a college basketball player to score more than 12 points or something like that. Is that something that can be eliminated from the equation? Is that really a problem? Would that damage the amount that people wager? Obviously, these are all fun bets. People wouldn't bet them, otherwise. Is that a problem, and would it be possible to eliminate them?
Pretty loaded question, Adam. So let me try to address it in a couple different ways. One, it depends on who you talk to. Now, are operators or sportsbooks going to tell you that they need those prop betting offerings to generate their revenue? Yes, they are. They're going to tell you that. Now, I think maybe they over-exaggerate maybe some of the estimations of of the effects it has in their revenue. I understand that there are, you got the Jonte Porter case that happened in the NBA last year where he was banned for manipulating his playing time, had to pay off some gambling debts. And you've seen some college teams get into some issues here, reportedly.
Yep.
Several schools are being looked at by the NCAA and a federal investigation. I think that these are small potatoes in a big world right now. Do I think that this is an issue that we need to be paying attention to? Absolutely, 100%. But I don't think that we're seeing necessarily the number of suspicious activity in match fixing and game manipulation then we need to just run out and change the whole landscape. As this continues to develop, I think regulators are very good about catching these things. I think that if we did not have legal sports betting, some of the Jonte Porter stuff probably goes under the radar longer, maybe occurs more often. He got caught after a couple games.
Yeah.
Some of these college teams are getting caught after a couple of games. Adam, this is not a sustained thing where they're doing it for 2 and 3 and 4 seasons and they're just making millions off of it themselves. It's getting caught and identified quickly. If it continues to rise, do I think they need to step in and maybe do something? Potentially, but that's going to be based on the leagues. That's going to be based on the NCAA, the NBA, those folks. I don't think the sports books are going to step in and start eliminating the offering of those props.
And I just want to, we'll probably have to close on this. And I've been arguing this for a long time, long before it was legal in the state of North Carolina, in that we need the legal wagering. We need the legal to stop the illegal, the game fixing and all of that. Because aren't the legal books, aren't they the safety net to protect everybody?
They really are. Because if they don't and they get caught, they lose their license and their entire business.
Right.
So they have a stake in making sure that things are being done the proper way, and that we don't have match fixing those companies going on because they don't want to lose their license. And look, they work with these leagues, Adam. DraftKings has deals with the NBA, FanDuel, you name it. They work with these leagues on a regular basis, and no one wants to risk the idea that something's being manipulated and that these games are being fixed in any manner whatsoever. So they want it out in the open. They've come forward when this has happened, and they hire and spend a lot of money on integrity firms that monitor these things on a daily basis, not just every once in a while, consistently.
Right. Before we say goodbye to Brad Senkiw, news editor, Covers.com, and a happy 1-year anniversary to the state of North Carolina, how many states still don't have it?
Right now, there's 39 states that have legalized it. 38 are operating. So you've still got several holdouts. Now, it looks like Mississippi, they've had in-person betting, just not online. It looks like they're trying to change that. This legislative go-round, I don't know that anybody else is going to pass anything. A lot of folks are still waiting on California and Texas to do something, but they're probably years away from that happening. So yeah, it's still an evolving business, but I tell you, it has slowed down a lot over the last probably 18 months.
California and Texas, man, that's another country. That's two countries. California and Texas. They're bigger than countries. Incredible. Before I say goodbye, is there anything that you want to say about the 1 year that I haven't gotten to before we have to let you go?
I did want to mention that the tax revenue, you've got a lot of money that is going to help collegiate sports, youth sports. I remember I talked to some legislatures when this first all happened a year ago. One of the reasons that they were able to sell it and get it passed was because it is helping a lot of communities in some positive ways.
Well, there you go. We love when that money helps. Brad Senkiw, covers.com, at Brad Senkiw on Twitter. I appreciate your time, sir. Hopefully we can talk again.
Sounds good, Adam. Anytime. Take care.
You got it. Brad Senkiw. Happy anniversary. All right.